actually going on in our time and day. We have a couple of publicists here who we're going to interview briefly here about this practice, about how they carry out this admonition here on watering those who show interest. And we're going to start with Sister Glass here, and the questions here are in our Kingdom Ministry. And the first question I'm going to ask Sister Glass is, what schedule do you have for making return visits, Sister Glass?
Well, the schedule that I have is on Tuesday on a regular basis between 2:30 and 4:30 in the afternoon, or 3:30 to 5:30, and some Sundays after the meeting.
All right, very good. The next question I'm going to ask you is, how do you prepare for return visits? Do you just drive down the street and you see a house and I got a call there? And you know, is that the way you do it, or do you have some advanced plans?
Advanced plans, because most of the time I ask the householder, what time can I come back? And I try to stick with that time. And then whatever we discuss, I like to further that discussion with additional scripture or information.
Okay, so you make a note, when you go back, you know what you want to talk about. So that's something we all want to keep in mind, because this way we show the household that we have an interest in them, not just coming to talk. And so that's good. Now, how do you deal with the challenge of finding a person at home again? Now, that's something I know all of us find difficult, don't we? Find a person, they say, oh yeah, I'll be here 6 o'clock, 12 o'clock, whatever, and they're not there. So how do you deal with that, sister?
Well, you have to be flexible. So you make adjustments in the days and the times that you go. And if you can get a phone number, that's good. If you can send a text, that's good as well.
Okay, and we might just mention, since you mentioned phone number, you know, our territory has a lot of way out calls, you know, 10 miles, 8 miles out in the country. So it's good if we can get a phone number so we don't drive out there for nothing. You know, we can call and stay there, and they can have us to come, then they'll give us something to do, to be productive, and save gas money, because they don't quite get a gas to us anymore. Okay, very good. Now the final question here, we're going to hold off on it. Sister Glass, just a moment, we're going to talk to Sister Barnes now. Is that high, too high for you, sister?
It'll be okay.
Okay. All right, now we're going to ask you the same question. What schedule do you have for making return visits?
Well, I have various days that I go out, but typically I use the morning times for door to door, and then when we meet back again midday, I go on my return visits then.
All right. And this is not in here, but it's something that we need to keep in mind. How much of our time should we spend in return visits? Anybody remember what's recommended? Sister Davis? Everybody got a mic, please? Here it comes, on the way.
It should be half of our time, because as we go out in the ministry in the morning, then in the evening we return calls.
Okay, and we can reverse that, can't we? We can go out, return visit in the morning if it's more productive, and then go out and service afternoon. But about a half hour field service time should be spent in our return visit, showing us the importance of that. Now, how do you prepare for your return visit, Sister Barnes?
Well, the night before, I use my call book to compile the interest that I found the previous week. And then once I compile it up, I review what literature I left, what scripture I left, or a question that I left. And then I also, too, on my initial visit, I jot down what kind of person did I meet. Was it an older person that was sickly, or was it a housewife with children? This has been immeasurably helpful to me in the future, so I'll know what else to bring back on my return.
Okay, very good. Now, final question is, how do you deal with the challenge of finding persons at home again?
Well, you kind of stole my thunder on that one. I was going to tell you, if I had $1 for every time someone told me, I'll be home, I'm home all the time, come back anytime you want. If I had $1 for every time I heard that statement, I'd be a rich woman right now. But as Sister Glass said, I got this phone now. And so I used the society's suggestion on one of the videos. It says, do you text? And to ask someone that these days is like saying, do you breathe? So everyone pretty much texts, and so that's how I get a jump on. Even if I don't see them physically, I can still witness to them via text.
I appreciate you saying basically one, because I'm one that.
Oh.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, have either one of you all had an experience that you would like to relate with regards to following the idea here on return visits that was productive?
Well, in doing this, I have been able to conduct several Bible studies and also start Bible studies that way.
Okay. What about you, Sister Barnes?
Yeah, I had a particular interesting study I had started at the beginning of this year, and she moved out of, the husband and I studied with them as a couple. They have 2 children, and they moved out of the area sometime around summertime. Then they came back 2 months ago, and because I had their phone number, I could text them in between the time they were gone, and they asked to resume their study. I'm so excited to say, because of using this, the different tools that society have given us, on their studies, they're proving themselves to have studied prior to us coming, showing evidence in their book that they studied. And 2 weeks ago, they had the privilege of having their first family worship study by using the Caleb and Sophia, one of their collection. So I really have benefited from the persistence in using what they say with watering those who show interest.
All right, so you see, friends, it works. So now let us, each one of us, try and hopefully have the experience of helping someone because of our extra efforts. We're going to also tonight talk about something. Thank you, sister.